Hi everybody, and welcome back to Life Kids Online. I'm so thrilled to have you with me today as we look at lesson 2 of our Empowering Courageous Kids series. You know, a lot of people are looking around them right now, and they're seeing that more people are getting sick. Schools, businesses, churches, all the places they like to go are being closed for longer and longer, and it's causing them to feel worried. When a person worries, that means that they're looking at the problems around them and they're thinking about it over and over and over and over and over again inside their head. And then before they know it, they're thinking, well, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Or what if this happens? And they find themselves in this place of thinking and thinking and thinking and wondering and wondering and wondering about all the things, all the bad things that could happen. And it starts to just kind of eat them up on the inside. And they can't think about anything good or anything joyful or anything peaceful. You know, if we have Jesus as our friend, we don't have to get stuck in that cycle of worrying. Because Jesus' power takes away our worries. We're going to talk some more about that in a moment. But before we do, I want to hear about your God sightings this week. Did you write them down in your journal? Here's my journal. See, I decorated it too. I even put stickers on it. Maybe you can decorate yours this week if you didn't do that last week. I would like for you to pause the video and talk with your family members about the God sightings you saw this week. My God sighting for this week is all of the spring flowers that are popping up in the flower beds of my neighbors and my house. You know, after a long, dark winter, you can wonder, is it ever going to be bright and colorful again? And when we see those daffodils popping up or other spring flowers, it's a great reminder that even though things might look dark sometimes, God is still working, He's still moving, and He's got something bright and wonderful for us right around the corner. So pause the video and share your God sightings with your family members right now. Thanks for sharing those God sightings. You know what? I have a special gift that I would love to send to each and every one of you watching right now that will help you to remember to look for those God sightings every day. It's this really fun bracelet that says Watch for God. And you know what the cool thing is? It glows in the dark. I love glow in the dark things. If you will have a grown-up send us a message through our Life Spring Fellowship Facebook page with how many people are in your family and your address, I would love to send everyone one of these bracelets that you can wear every day to help you to remember to watch for God and all the great and wonderful things He is doing in your life and in the world around you. So I encourage you to do that. If you want one, you want 10, however many you need for your family, please feel free, again, to direct message us through the Life Spring Fellowship Facebook page, and we'll get these sent out to you. Now, back to talking about our worries. You know, I said earlier, when we had Jesus in our life, we don't have to worry. We can choose to focus on Him. And what better way to do that than singing a song about how we don't have to worry about a thing. So I would like you to get up off the couch again. Everyone, like last week, get up off the couch and pause this video. Go to the YouTube link that's posted, click it, and sing this song together. Wow, that was so fun. I just love singing. What a great song to remind us that Jesus' power takes away our worries. You know, the world does seem to be very worried right now. They're worried about the coronavirus spreading. People are worried about their jobs and not having a place to go to work right now. Lots of different things. What are some things that you've heard people say they're worried about? Or what are some things that maybe you're feeling worried about? What I'd like you to do in just a moment is pause the video and go find as much paper as you can, scrap paper, and write down on each piece of paper what those worries are. Maybe you're worried about a family member. Write that down. Maybe you know someone who works in or is staying in the hospital right now and you're worried they might get sick. Write that down. Whatever the worries are that you might be feeling or that you know other people around you might be feeling, write those down. One on each piece of paper you can find. We're going to need a lot of paper later, so make sure you think of as many things as you possibly can. All right, go find your paper. Were you able to find a lot of paper to write down all those different things that we could be worrying about right now? I hope so. Let's take a moment now, and we're going to pause the video again in just a moment to talk about those things. What do you do when you feel tempted to worry? I know for me, when I feel tempted to worry, I love to listen to worship music. It doesn't matter if it's fast and upbeat and I can dance around to it, or if it's really slow and I close my eyes and I just think about the words that are being sung. Worship music helps me when I start to feel worried because it takes my focus off of the problems and puts it on Jesus, my problem solver. So I would like for you right now to take all of those worries and talk with your family about what you usually do when you feel tempted to be worried. And while you're talking, I want you to take each worry and crumple it up into a ball. We're going to need them for a little later in our Bible story. All right, go. Okay, great sharing. Were you able to get all of those worries crunched up into tiny balls? I hope so, because we're going to need them for our Bible story, which starts right now. If you have a Bible, go grab it. And if you don't, you can also put the scriptures into Google and pull up the scriptures that way. Our Bible lesson today comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 14, verses 22 to 33. I'll say that one more time. Our lesson comes from Matthew, chapter 14, verses 22 to 33. I encourage you to read this together as a family and then follow along with me. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so our story picks up right after one of Jesus' most incredible miracles. He took just a few fish and a few loaves of bread and he fed thousands of people. We can't even begin to imagine how cool it would have been to see him do that and to feed all of those people. Afterwards, though, because it had already been a very long day, Jesus was feeling like he wanted to get away and have a little bit of alone time. Maybe you can understand how Jesus was feeling now that we're all at home together and we're with our family, which is great, but sometimes it's just nice to have a couple minutes by ourselves, right? So maybe you can understand how Jesus was feeling. After that long day, he just needed a little me time. So Jesus said to his friends, hey, why don't you get in the boat? It's another boat story. Why don't you get in the boat and go back across the lake? He knew he could meet them there later. And he then went off by himself and took some time to pray because he knew that the thing that he needed in that moment was to spend some time with God. So that's what they did. The disciples, his friends, got into the boat and they went off into the lake. And Jesus went off by himself to pray. As we go through the verses, we then find that in the middle of the night, the wind really picked up and it was blowing hard. Give me your best wind. Blowing hard, so hard that it was making the water really push and make waves really big. And they were pushing against the side of the boat. And so the boat went from this nice, gentle, oh, isn't it great to be on a boat, to back and forth and back and forth. Can you show me what it would be like to be in the boat right where you are? Pretend you're in a boat and the wind is pushing you back and forth and it's crashing. Oh my goodness, I think I would get seasick if I was in that boat. But who knows if they did or not? We'll never know. Anyway, all we do know is that they were getting frightened because, again, they're being tossed to and fro. And then they look out onto the water and they see this figure and they're like, people can't walk on water. That's gotta be a ghost. And they were terrified, so scared, because now they're being pushed all around by the water and the waves and the wind. And now they're seeing a ghost and they are just so afraid. And Jesus, knowing that they're afraid, says, hey guys, it's not a ghost, it's me, it's Jesus. I'm the one out here on the water. So one of the guys in the boat, he says, hey, if you're Jesus, let me come out to you. Now that's pretty brave if you think about it, because if it wasn't Jesus, there was no way he was going to be able to walk on the water. But in that moment, this guy, his name by the way is Peter, he knew that if it was Jesus, that he'd be okay, because he trusted Jesus so much that he knew that if Jesus said that he could walk on water, that Jesus would be able to make it happen. So Jesus said, okay, come on out. And so Peter, he gets up to the edge of the boat and he steps over and out of the boat onto the water. Can you imagine what it would be like to be standing on the water? I need a Peter. Can someone be a Peter in your family right now? Doesn't matter who it is, because in a moment, everyone's going to get a chance to be Peter. But if you could pick one person right now to be Peter, did you find your person? Okay, Peter, I'm talking to you. Stand up, all right? And take a big step out over the boat and see what it would feel like to be on the water. Now, the Bible tells us that when Peter did this, he was looking straight at Jesus. So I want you to look out far ahead of you, and I don't know what's in your room. Maybe it's the TV that's out in front of you. Maybe it's a window or a tree that you can see. Maybe it's a closet. Whatever is kind of far off from you, I want you to look out at it, Peter, and pretend that that's Jesus in this story, and keep your focus on that. And then take another step, and then freeze, keeping your eyes on Jesus, okay? Now, everybody else, I want you to take all of those worries, all of those things that we were just talking about that we balled up, and I want you to throw them at Peter right now. Go ahead and do it. Isn't that funny? Oh my goodness. So now I want you to pause the video and give someone else a chance to be Peter. Gather up all of those worries. Let someone else be Peter, and when they climb out of the boat, after they've taken a few steps, throw all the worries at them. Go. Ah! Wasn't that fun? It's always so exciting to act out the Bible stories. You know, getting hit with these worries is kind of like what happened to Peter when he stepped out of the boat. At first, he had his eyes on Jesus, and he was doing just fine walking on the water. But then, all the things that were around him, the winds, the waves, they grabbed his attention, and he put his focus on those things, and he started to worry. He was afraid he was going to sink, or he was going to drown. And when he was focused on those things, and he wasn't focused on Jesus, he forgot that Jesus was the one that was helping him to walk on the water in the first place. Once Peter started focusing on all of those things that were happening around him, he started to sink like a rock. He was going down into the water, and he knew he was going to be a goner if Jesus didn't help him. So he cried out, Jesus, save me. And Jesus did. He reached out, he grabbed onto Peter, and pulled him right up and saved him. Now let's talk again about these worries that we wrote down. Think about all the things that you could be worrying about right now. Is there something, even just one thing, that you're worried about? Let's talk about that. I'd like us to pause the video again, and let's talk about what are you worried about, and how is that distracting you from Jesus? I'll ask that again. What is one thing that you're worried about right now? And how is that distracting you from Jesus? Go ahead and talk. Thank you so much for sharing with each other. I know sometimes it can be hard to talk about the things that really bother us on the inside, but it's really good if we can talk to someone that we trust and we know who loves us. Now, who wants to do a science experiment? I do. All right, I need you to get some things for this experiment. You'll need to have one pepper shaker with pepper in it. You'll need a grown-up to get a small bowl and put some dish soap in it. Any kind of dish soap will do. And then each person who wants to try the experiment will need a small bowl that has water in it. Okay? Go ahead, pause the video, and go get those things. Okay, were you able to find your supplies? I hope so. This is a fun experiment. Now look at the bowl of water that's sitting in front of you. It's all clean and clear. It's kind of like how we feel when everything's going really well. We don't have a care in the world. Everything is just clean and clear and perfect and wonderful. But then maybe something happens and, oh, look at that. We have some worries. Put some pepper into your bowl. Kind of like right now, school's canceled, people are sick, church is canceled, maybe your favorite store is closed, you're at home every day, and the worries of this world try to creep into your mind. They try to get you to think about all the bad things happening right now, and you're having a hard time focusing on anything good because you're starting to be like Peter and look at everything that's happening all around. The pepper represents the worries of our world. Now, you might be like, well, those thoughts come, but I can make them go away. Well, let's try to make them go away. Because you're right, sometimes we can push our worries away, but as you're moving your finger around, are you able to really get the worries to go away? I'm finding that the worries are kind of sticking to me. Sometimes that happens to me too. The more I think about the worries and I'm thinking, I shouldn't be worrying, and I think about how I shouldn't be worrying about the worries, I start to worry more and I just get covered all in worries. But remember what we said before, we don't have to focus on the bad things. We don't have to focus on all those things that want us to worry. We don't have to be tempted to worry. We can choose to let Jesus help us, because remember, it's Jesus' power that takes away our worries. Now, clean off your finger just like I did. I just used a tissue. Clean off your finger and dip it into the dish soap. See that? I have some dish soap on my finger. The dish soap represents Jesus. When we put Jesus in the center of everything, it makes all the difference, because he makes all the difference. So I want you to take your finger with the dish soap and watch as you put your finger into the bowl what happens to the pepper, what happens to all the worries. Do that now. Wow, did you see that? You probably can't see mine, but you can see yours. It made all the worries run away. It made all the pepper run to the side of the bowl as soon as we stuck our finger in with that dish soap. Jesus is the same way. When we put him in the center of everything, he makes all of our worries run away when we keep him in the center. Think about that for a moment. Jesus doesn't just have the power over the wind or the waves, or the ability to walk on water or feed a lot of people with just a few bread and fish. But he also has the power to make our worries run away, just like the pepper ran away in our bowl. We need to keep our eyes, our hearts, our minds fixed on Jesus. And when we do, then Jesus' power will take away our worries. So let's talk about this together. What would help you to keep your eyes focused on Jesus during this uncertain time? I'll ask that again. What would help you keep your eyes on Jesus during this uncertain time? Pause the video and talk about it. Jesus' power takes away our worries if we keep our eyes focused on Him. I'm going to say that one more time. Did you catch the key word in that sentence? Jesus' power takes away our worries if we keep our eyes focused on Him. That word if, it's such a tiny little word, but it has such a big meaning. In this sentence, it's the part that we play. Jesus is all powerful. He can do anything He wants to. But He sometimes asks something of us first. And in this situation, when we're being bombarded with all these thoughts and problems and worries, He just simply says, if you keep your eyes focused on me, would you just keep your eyes focused on me? If we do that, then He promises to do the rest. He will make our worries go running away, just like the pepper in the bowl did. It just flew to the side. He'll make our worries fly so far away, they won't even be the tiniest thought in our minds anymore. And so I encourage you this week to focus on Jesus. Make Him the center of everything you say, think, and do. Sometimes we can all use a little help with that. So I would like for each of you to pray within your family right now. Take a moment and pause this video and pray for the person next to you. Go around in a circle if there's enough of you, or just pray for each other if there's just two of you. And pray for each other to be able to keep your focus on Jesus this week. Go ahead and pray together. Awesome. Thank you so much for praying for each other. I don't know about you, but I always feel so much better when I'm praying for someone and they're praying for me too. It's just a really neat thing to be able to do in the family. Now, as we close out this week's video, I'd like you to get your thankfulness journals and draw a picture of something that reminds you of Jesus. Jesus is the one that takes away our fears. You could try to draw a picture of Jesus, or you could draw a heart or a cross, or you could just write a letter to Jesus thanking Him for taking away your worries. Also this week, remember to write down your God sightings and put those in your journal as well. And remember, if you want a bracelet to remind you to watch for God, send your address and how many you need in a message at LifeSpring Fellowship on our Facebook page. I hope that you had a great time. I know I had fun with you. Keep thanking Jesus, keep your eyes fixed on Him, and we'll see you next week. Bye!